Welcome to Shelf Life. Today on Shelf Life, my guest is Diane Browne. She's a well-known Jamaican author who has written more than 40 stories and books, and her works have been published in Jamaica, in the UK, and in the USA. Her story, The Happiness Dress, which is one of the books we're going to be talking about today, won the Commonwealth Foundation Special Prize for Children's Stories in 2011. She's also the author of the other book that we're really going to be focusing on, Abigail's Glorious Hair. We're going to talk about hair like mine, hair like yours, everybody here, and what happens to good hair and bad hair. So stick and stay with me as we have this conversation with Diane. Diane, welcome to Shelf Life. It's so good to have you on the show. I've been dying to talk to you about these wonderful books that you have.
Thank you very much for having me. And they are my favorite books at the moment.
Yes, they're good books. They're good books. But before we get to the books, because I actually bought them for we're going to call her my niece. Is really grand. Is really grand niece.
I know. We have lots of those, but
who says that? Nobody says that. For my niece, because I think she'll absolutely love them. Love the kid. Love these books. But before we get to that, talk to me a little bit about Diane Browne, because I know you as somebody who has written scores of stories and books and all kinds of things and won awards and all those things. But after all these years, I really don't know that much about who you are. So talk to me about Diane, where you come from, all of that.
I was born in Kingston, really halfway tree, but in Kingston. And I've lived here all my life, except for 2 years in Mandeville after I got married. My husband was from there and going to university. I grew up, I think I just had a fascinating childhood.
Okay.
I grew up on Malines Road. And people were on 2-acre lots. So it was rural, urban. People kept chickens. We kept chickens, which is what you'd get for Sunday dinner.
Yes. Did you guys cook? Did you guys do like my dad? We kept chickens. My dad would select the chicken and put it in a basket. Put the head in a basket and yes. And then the body would run around.
Yes. And the neighbors next door kept chickens and ducks. And I do remember, I think it was like people had tied out cows in your yard to eat the grass. I forget what that grass is called, right? And there were children in each, there were like about 5 households between, now this is the important thing, Tarrant Gully no longer exists. Tarrant School is probably close to where it was. So there was a Tarrant Baptist Church. Where, my dear, I got saved at age 11, even though I was a good Anglican. No matter. I can get saved and pray and thing. And so there was Tarrant Gully, which came down. There was no paving. There was Waltham Park fording. There was a top Lines Road, which was a chasm, right? And there was Casher Park, which is still a chasm. And where we heard as children that a family had been washed away in the night. Well, of course, there was no paving that could happen. But the point is, when it was the rainy season, you couldn't go anywhere because all the gullies had come down.
Yes.
I mean, some would be better than some. So that was sort of all sorts of excitement for a child. And we, the children of the area, would walk through the bush. What a safe life, eh?
Yes, what a wonderful life to be able to walk
through the bush, picking fruit, climbing trees. You did not buy mangoes.
Or naseberry.
That's right. And you were supposed to have a lime tree. If you didn't have a lime tree, something was wrong with you. That's how you're going to make lemonade. So it was fun. Um, and then after that, I went to high school, and I liked that.
Where did you go to high school?
St. Andrew.
St. Andrew.
Yes, and I liked that. The only thing I didn't like was exams. One of the things which I think maybe before your time was that, hello, now you're at a high school. Don't come below 5 in your form.
No, that was not before my time at all.
Okay.
My father gave me a good waxing beat for coming must be 15th one year.
Okay, so I understand. So that was just and that's about how I grew up. I liked being at high school, as I said, except for
Exams.
the exams. I don't know if there's anything else you want to
No,
ask me.
that is good.
Little brothers.
Mhm.
Huh?
How many brothers?
2
Okay.
twins. And actually, the other thing is, I was born into a colonial territory, so there's that other.
Mm-hmm.
I came from what now would be called a mixed race family.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was par for the course.
Right.
Par for the course. But it still had its challenges.
Hold on 1 second for me, Dad. Michael. I'm getting disturbance back here. Hold on. All right. Yes, I'm gonna pick up back. You're talking about a mixed race family, which was par for the course.
Yeah, it was. So I guess it's not strange. People have said that a lot of my stories are about identity.
Mm-hmm.
Identity. And maybe those are the two operative things. I know from as a little girl, I loved books.
Yes.
I would sit and dust off all my books in my little 3 shelf, sit on the floor and look at them with joy and love. I asked for books for every birthday.
Wow.
Christmas. I remember there was an old steamer trunk in the house. The house we were in actually belonged to my father's sister.
Okay.
His migrated to the States. And I would read books from there that I wouldn't even read now, like all Quiet on the Western Front. You know.
But it's interesting that growing up, I also was a reader, always loved books, and I read anything. And I think there was a Western series. I cannot remember the name of it now, but if I see it tomorrow morning, I know it. There was a Western series that I loved. And I used to, the minute those books would appear in the bookshop, I would grab them up, and it was a Western book. So if you love books, you just love books, I guess.
That's right. You know, and you love story. You love story, you know?
Yes. And in Jamaica, our socialization was so globalized.
Yes.
Even back then, because our music was global music. And every Jamaican know every piece of music from time start until now.
That's right. You know? That's right. And our island people always migrate. So then you always have some people, everybody has somebody abroad or know somebody abroad. Daddy's family used to send us barrels.
Yes.
And mommy used to bake puddings from like September so she could post them in time for Christmas. The other influence, so the gully thing, in fact, I put into a time travel book called The Ring on the Roaring Water. it's a star sort of thing. The other influence, my mother had a family house, extended family, at the corner of East Street. It's now a car park, which is very painful. So it's cater corner to the Gleaner,
Mm-hmm.
and then it had across from it the Chinese Benevolent Society.
Society.
Right. And so that's a part. Looking out was an activity we did. You know, I'm going to look out. And they were quite an entertaining family, an extended family, loving, some conflict, you know, this sort of thing. Intrigue, even
Family.
if it's all, yes.
Family.
And there a family. There'd be cousins who were orphans that were taken in. I think they were orphans from the pandemic,
Oh,
the flu thing,
Spanish
right?
flu.
Hmm?
From the Spanish
Yes,
flu.
they were the orphans. Their parents had died. The
Mm-hmm.
two of them.
Wow.
I like my childhood. I'm not saying people say, oh, I had a happy childhood. You know, they always say that. I say, I like my childhood. It was intriguing. There were challenges. There always are.
Yes.
Colonial impact was
Mm-hmm.
my mother says when she married my father, against her mother's will, she lost all her friends.
Mm.
So so we had all this, you know.
And that explains why you're such an amazing storyteller, because you had all of this growing up in addition to the fact that you loved books, so you were always reading books, and it's that just opens your imagination, you know, it just opens your mind completely. And the best
And I
authors
wanted to
are people who
see,
used to read.
and I wanted to see ourselves in books.
Right.
Before I had children, I wanted to see ourselves reflected in books.
And you have done that in the books and the stories that you've written. So let us get to the happiness dress. Right? Oh, so tell all, I want them to go out and buy books, right? So you're not going to tell them the whole book, but tell the audience about the happiness dress, what it's about, and how you got to writing the happiness dress.
No, the happiness dress was written a long time ago. And it's one, you know, writers say they put down things in drawers.
I
And
have
maybe
one
they
or two.
Right. And the thing was, I had the whole thing. She gets a parcel from the Caribbean. This is Caroline. And she opens it up and it's a gorgeous Caribbean dress. And her parent, her female, it's interesting. It's the female, the aunt, the mother, the grandmother are quite horrified.
Too colorful.
Too colorful. You won't fit in. They're going to spot you right away. And this wish to fill in is often fit in,
Right.
is often there, like in the UK and at one time Canada.
Yes.
Whereas I think the United States, in spite of all these sad things are happening now, you didn't have to work so hard to fit in because there was one group, Italy, Irish.
Right. But in the UK, you really tried to fit into that stiff upper lip, you know, modest look. And this dress was definitely not it.
Yes, and she's sad that, I mean, she's the one that was born there and she is happy with the dress. The rest of them, they were born some in the Caribbean. And the whole thing is her daddy comes forward to help her. And I don't want to give the story away, but he support. And this is lovely because so often, and we are a matriarchal society, even if a whole lot of patriarchal people are running it. We are matriarchal. And then, so we tend to ignore daddies. For perhaps with good reason.
Perhaps with good reason.
And I wanted to show daddy's support of the girl. Because of course, I think psychology says that girls need fathers as well. It's not just boys.
Oh no. My dad and I were extremely close, very, very, very close, right up to his death. And yeah, I can't imagine what my life would have been without my father. So yes, girls need fathers. Fathers teach them. Fathers are the first men to love them, or should be the first men to love them in a good, wholesome way, to show them what good, wholesome love can look like.
So, and the last couple lines, which are really beautiful. You know, I love these books, even though they're mine.
No, that's fine. I love my books.
Those came, Judy. I mean, like a day before. I just thought, okay, let me send this in. And I sent it in, I think must be at 10 o'clock the night for 12 o'clock UK time. And I was astonished that it won. It was a year when Cornwall Foundation was doing a special children's story and a special woman's story.
Right.
I can't believe it.
It is a beautiful story, though. And it's a beautiful story about being different and being okay with being different, and knowing that you don't have to fit into some mold that somebody has created for you. And I actually was able to identify with the story, because as a human being, I consider myself very different and not fitting into the molds. I don't really don't fit into the molds. And it's not because I'm trying to be different. I simply just don't fit in. As a child,
we are all unique.
Yeah,
we're
all unique. And as a child growing up, I had a hard time until, you know, I learned that it was okay to just be me, because I didn't fit in. And so this dress really resonated with me, because it was like I would wear that dress. And I wore a bright ice green and gold dress to a ball once, like. And I remember,
as in big time party.
And I remember my friend saying, "You don't have a black dress?" And I said, "No, I don't wear black." I said, "I don't wear black. I wear colors." She's like, "You can't wear that dress." I said, "Why?" She said, "It's too colorful. Everybody's going to be in black." I said, "Okay, well, they'll see me, won't they?" You know?
Yes. My good friend from when I was 16, that's when we met, and we're still good friends. And she said, boy, when she met me, she heard that I was a girl that taught Sunday school and wore strange clothes. The strange clothes had come from the States. So I don't remember the Sunday school thing, but anyway.
But that's the interesting thing about the happiness dress too, is that, like you, my mom used to travel a lot. She lived in the States for long periods. And so we used to get barrels. Yes. And so the dresses used to come in the other direction, from the States to Jamaica. And you you know, break out your brand new fancy dress that your mom just sent you in the barrel. So that was colonization in reverse, as Miss Lou would call it.
Of course.
That the dress went to England instead of the dress leaving England to come down. And then the other book is Abigail's Glorious Hair. Oh, what a beautiful book. And I'm going to ask you to read a short piece from that, please.
Just now? Okay.
Yes.
I will.
Let's do that.
And just to set it, it's Abigail's hair is being combed out, having been washed. And there is grandma, auntie, mommy, and her little brother.
And the dreaded combing of the hair.
And the dreaded combing of the hair. And so they're all sitting around. Mommy is combing the hair. She has separated it, oiled it, all the things, right? And Auntie Rosie says, "Is everything okay at school, Abigail? Do you like your new teacher?" And Abigail, "Yes, I see. I'm in a new grade at my school now." Ah, Grandma says, are all the children nice to you, Abigail? I hope no one is being mean to you. I nod and say, yes, the children are nice, and shake my head and say, no, for no one is being mean to me. That jerks Mum's hand. Oh, I say. Mum says, you have to keep your head on still and only move in when I tell you to, Abigail, or it will hurt. And this is the refrain. And she brushes and combs out, and her fingers are going through my hair. 1, 2, twist. 1, 2, twist. 1, 2, twist. And love flows through her fingers, and I feel snug and safe. Mom says Abigail would tell us if anyone was mean to her. So you see, the family is quietly finding out how things are. Abigail will tell us about anything and everything that happens. Won't you, Abigail? And I say, yes, but I don't nod. And by the time we've done 2 more, only 2 left now, Abigail, she says. Mom brushes and combs out, and her fingers are going through my hair. 1, 2, twist. 1, 2, twist. 1, 2, twist. And love flows through her fingers, and I feel snug and safe. And by the time the last 2 are finished, it's just before I am almost asleep, feeling snug and safe.
Wow.
And there's a story behind this, as you know. When I was little, this story everybody has heard. When I was little in a colonial territory, I remember, I was such a beautiful child. My mother said I sang Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due in the bus.
Yes.
In the bus. And everybody said, oh, what a sweet child. Remember this with little people who are 6, what you say to them. And, you know. And so the twins were born, and that was, of course, the first shock. They weren't expected, by the way. Only one was expected.
Okay.
5 days, nobody knew. And we'd be walking. I do not know where we were walking, but it has stuck in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I expected the people to come up and say, oh, what a sweet little girl. Instead, they said, twins. Well, naturally, we only knew about 2 more sets of twins in Kingston. And then they said, what a pity the girl didn't get the good hair.
Oh my God, I know the good hair story.
And I knew then that something was wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to understand in a colonial situation.
It's not even a hold on, it's not even a colonial situation.
I know.
Because my children have the good hair in the quotes, and the other one have the natty hair, as they would say. And I watched my kids go through it too. And I used to get very, very upset and say, so what happens to bad hair? It goes to prison? I mean, if this is good hair, what happens to bad hair? Does it go to prison? And what does that mean for my hair? You know, like, it's ridiculous.
What I did with my 2 first, because I only have 2 girls, right? I have 2 girls that I love. And the first thing I said to my parents, when the first girl arrived, I said, no more good hair or bad hair again.
No more good hair, bad hair.
The words never passed their mouths.
Yes.
I remember a friend coming in and she said, why don't comb your child's hair? I said, I have combed my child's hair. That time I've used a pick.
Right.
Okay. So that was the hair story. Mm-hmm. People don't like to talk about it.
But you hold on.
It's still true.
Yeah, but hold on. So California passed the law last year that prevented people from employers from discriminating against
Against.
natural hair.
Yes.
And my question was, okay, so you mean discriminating against black hair? Let's be specific, because are the
Yes.
white people wearing their natural hair? Are the Chinese people wearing their natural hair? The Indian people are wearing their natural hair. All the other people are wearing their natural hair. So why is it a law against discriminating against? Say what you mean. It's a law against discriminating against natural black hair, because the only hair that there seems to be a problem with is my hair.
I think that what frightens them, because there is fright.
Mm-hmm.
Using anything they do, there is fright. And it's that you dare to show who you are
Mm-hmm.
and be proud of it.
Yes.
And that seems to frighten people.
And
I remember just a few years back, which could be 10 or 15, the Caucasians went through a period in the UK of spiky hair, pink, orange, all sorts of things.
Punk.
And we knew they, yes, punk. And we knew these were children just acting out. So, and yes, and it's still with us. So I always wanted to write the hair book.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time when Mandy, the older one in nursery school, came home. She was friends with a little Chinese girl and a brown girl with long hair.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I want swinging hair. And I said, you can't have swinging hair. She said, why not? I said, your mother's hair is not swinging hair.
Right.
Which is going back to the dates when my mother would say, when you said, why can't I do this? She said, because you're my child. You know, time thing. So it was, so we faced it when it came with Rachel. She had light colored hair. And one day we went to pick her up. Somebody said, do you want the blonde girl? And my husband and I said, we have a blonde girl.
Blonde girl.
Yes.
And we had a blonde girl.
No, Judy, the words change. And they would tease her. I remember going to pick her up one day over the prep school, and there's a whole lot of people jumping around her. And tell your mother, Rachel, tell your mother. And I'm a teacher, so I've got to be civilized. So I said, what happened? Well, that boy said that Rachel was white as snow. To make it worse, Rachel started to cry, the face blanched white, and the nose and the eyebrows turned pink.
Pink.
And I knew I couldn't. I said, well, okay, all I have to say is none of you have seen snow, and snow is pretty. Get into the car, Rachel. And later on in life, we had to straighten her out, right? Because it followed her into high school.
Mm-hmm.
She had changed, and I'm all for social mobility. And we had to teach her. Mandy and I sat her and said, okay, this is you. This is you. Okay? Now accept it.
And love it.
Yes. You can't be any other different way. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember she came home one day, and as a teacher, I should never say this. And she said to me, she was in third form. She said, a girl was looking at me today. And I said, what you looking at me for? And I said, Jesus, thank you. Jesus, thank you. The child now knows how to answer back things.
Mm-hmm.
So when now, Abigail's glorious hair, you have to tell me when time is running out. Abigail's glorious hair.
Mm-hmm.
I went, so having laid down this edict now we have a whole lot of natural hair going on, right? So when my older grandchildren are in Barbados with their mother. She married a big one. And Solange, who was then little and is now 15, had really coarser hair than ours, thick, the sort of hair that when you grab this, don't let it go, because if you ever let it go, it's gone. Right?
And not up with the rest.
Yes. And I loved combing her hair. This was the first time I was feeling, but this is love. You're
Yes.
actually touching the person. You actually do.
And I love that about the story, that you equated and you brought out the love that
It's
comes with the
love.
combing of the hair. And it brought me back to when I was a child and my mom used to comb my hair. As much as, it was that dragging and it would hurt, there was something about sitting down, the time you spent sitting down combing hair. And then I remember combing my own children's hair. And just that time, as much as it would hurt, and it said something about the time you took to spend and the quality of that time to sit and comb the hair. Boy, Diane, I could talk to you all day, but unfortunately, I
you
don't have
often
all day.
you often sat between your mother's knees.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It was. Now the funny thing is, you see, Judy, how children left to themselves might do quite well, because how it started was, so she was about 8, and I remember one day she peeped around the bathroom window and said, "Grandma," and the hair had been washed, and okay, there's a mane that her mother's going to lie, but she knew it was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Her brother said one time, would be about 6, he said, Solange has poofy hair.
Ah.
Love poofy hair. And he stuck his head straight into her hair.
That's where the poofy hair came from.
Yes. But I said, see that? He's gonna marry a girl with poofy hair. And so that's the story of that. And I am glad that it came at a time when I didn't need to justify the hair anymore.
Right.
The hair was justified.
Yes.
And now we're going to tell you about the love that goes into that.
Hair.
So that was it.
Thank you so much. That is beautiful.
A friend of mine said, after the launch and they bought book and so on, she said her grandchildren, actually I think they're her grandnieces, knew they were beautiful, but now they believe it. And I gather much letting out of here to go to church next day.
Nice. Nice.
So
nice. I am glad we have advocates like you who are teaching our children. I write children's stories, as you know, published my first one last year with the Abigail with the penguins, because I believe that stories are still the way that we have to teach our children. Stories are very, very important. And I don't care what nobody said, books not going out of style at all. Books are very much here to stay. They've been here from before us and they will be here long after we have gone.
And there's something about holding it.
Yes, it's all the senses. You see, you smell, you hear, you feel. It's all your senses the only thing you don't do with a book is taste it. And if you're a child, you probably do because they tend to
yes.
But
yes.
They tend to eat the book. But Dan, it has been wonderful having you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. The books we're talking about are Abigail's Glorious Hair and The Happiness Dress. Get them for your little children, your little girls, your little children. Just to help them to identify who they are and to be okay and to know that different is good and to know that the nice, big, poofy, fluffy hair that we have is good hair, because there's nothing bad about hair. Good hair goes to heaven and so does bad hair.
Because it can weather a storm. Okay?
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Thank you so much, Diane. It's been wonderful catching up with you, and I'll catch you again when next I come Jamaica, and when next either one of us has a book coming out, I'll see you.
Okay.
Thank
you very much for having me.
You take care. Enough blessings.
And
good. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Well, we've come to the end of another Shelf Life, and as always, it was a wonderful conversation. I hope you'll rush out and get these books for your little kids, because it's so important that we're able to love who we are here and all, our differences and all, and what other people may call differences, which is really just who we are. So I'll see you again next week, same place, same time. In the meantime, check out my website, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and find out what more I have hanging out on my shelf. Walk good. See you next week.